Now, Nuer people live mostly in southern Sudan, but they also inhabit parts of western Ethiopia. The Nuer call themselves Na'ath, meaning human beings. And oral tradition indicates that the Na'at migrated south from the drought-ridden area of Kordofan around 1700 AD. They occupied a huge Dinka territory and increased their territorial domain. In this process, many Dinka were absorbed into the Na'at culture. Many scholars state that most Na'at have a Dinka background. Still, others believe that Na'at have a Luau origin, like the Enyua and Shilluk. The Na'at and Dinka have similar cultural traditions. The split into different ethnic groups probably occurred due to conflict over cattle, and they have maintained an on and off conflict over the last 300 years. A very interesting cultural practice among the Na'at is the practice of facial markings they call ga'ar. It's part of their initiation into adulthood. The most common initiation pattern among males consists of 6 parallel horizontal lines, which are cut across the forehead with a razor. One article called The Nile speaks about a 13-year-old Na'at boy who is excited to receive his scarification because, according to him, I am free now to talk with girls. I find it very interesting that we can see these same exact patterns on the Nubian groups depicted by the Egyptians in sculpture. Literally, the same exact scarification practice of the Na'at people can be seen on this Nubian sculpture, and the phenotypical profile is no doubt exactly the same as a modern-day Na'at person living today.
Climatic changes and communal conflicts in South Sudan. Founded in 2011, the young nation of South Sudan is currently facing a multitude of intertwined security and development challenges. 50 years of civil war have left the region comprising today's South Sudan with a weak economy and little capacity to embark on its nation-building process. Moreover, as a consequence of climate change, South Sudan is threatened by increasingly frequent droughts, which disrupt rural livelihoods and exacerbate local conflicts between communal groups. Historically, violent conflicts between pastoralist communities have been a recurring phenomenon in the region that comprises today's South Sudan. Living under harsh environmental conditions and being frequently exposed to droughts, the region's people have often fought over livestock and the access to water and grazing land. With the progressive deterioration of climatic conditions and the increasing implication of local communities into the South Sudanese civil war, these conflicts have, however, become more violent. According to the UCDP conflict database, communal conflicts in South Sudan have killed more than 7,000 people between 1993 and 2013 and displaced many more. They've also impeded trade and agriculture, thus causing famines and crippling the local economy. The origins of this situation are complex and manifold, yet practitioners and experts have become increasingly attentive to the role of climate change and more erratic weather conditions as an aggravating factor in the South Sudanese context. In the following, we briefly sketch the possible linkages between climatic changes and communal violence in South Sudan. Pastoral communities in South Sudan are increasingly exposed to adverse environmental conditions. Rainfalls have decreased by 10 to 20%, and temperatures have increased by more than 1 degree centigrade since the middle of the 1970s. This also corresponds to a period of high increase of CO2 in the Earth's atmosphere. These changes are accompanied by an increased frequency of extreme weather events, such as droughts and floods, with more than 55% of the South Sudanese population being directly affected. As a result, essential water and grazing resources have become increasingly scarce, and their availability subjected to important fluctuations. More frequent droughts have also affected migratory movements of pastoralists. Herders in the region are used to a certain degree of environmental variability and plan their movements accordingly. Yet, repeated droughts force them to range more widely and encroach more frequently on land claimed by other communities. This can create serious tensions and even incite violence as newcomers and original inhabitants compete for water and grazing land in the receiving areas.